Today we are going to discuss the concept of equivalent angle axis. What is the mathematics behind the inverse problem, and in the end equivalent angle axis is a complex matrix, then how to recall that matrix by using some patterns. So we know that in any industry where the robot is deployed and it is being dealing with number of tools and number of parts. So in the previous sessions we have discussed that position and orientation of a body are very important, and a typical rotation matrix which is used to define the orientation of the body is given by a 3x3 matrix. So if we see from the operator's perspective, so it's very difficult for the operator to enter these 9 values. Do we have any other alternative? So as we know that the rotation matrix is orthogonal in nature, which means that out of the 9 entries, only 3 entries are independent, whereas the rest 6 entries can be calculated with the help of a set of constraints. So being orthogonal, it's having 6 constraints and only 3 independent values are there with which the rotation matrix can be defined. So like in Euler angles, we have seen that any desired position and orientation of the body can be achieved by moving or transforming the body along XYZ axis by defining only 3 parameters or 3 angles. Likewise, in the equivalent angle axis, it is also possible to achieve the same position or orientation of the body by using an alternate approach. In this approach, we will identify one given vector k in 3D space, and if we orient the body along that vector and given rotation theta about that vector, we can achieve the same position and orientation of the body as we have achieved using the concept of Euler angles. So in this case, we have a given vector k, which is defined by 3 parameters kx, ky, kz, and the 4th parameter is the theta, the amount of rotation being given. So out of these 4 parameters, there is one constraint that k is being a unit vector. This kind of transformation can also be described with the help of 3 independent parameters. So now comes the concept of a equivalent angle axis. So in this, we assume that there is a cube. So this blue one is the fixed frame attached to the body. This fixed frame has orthogonal axis x, y and z. And then we assume that there is one unit vector k which is attached along the body diagonal. So this is the vector whose magnitude is unity. Its 3 projections are on the 3 standard axes are given by kx, ky and kz. We need to orient the body about this k axis by a given angle theta. So in order to do that, we have to do some mathematics behind it. So first of all, we'll calculate the projection of this k on the xy plane. So this you can see is the projection plane, and this green vector shows the projection in the xy plane. So this green vector is called as vector q, which is given by kx, ky and 0 because there is no z component. And this q vector makes an angle alpha with respect to the x-axis in the xy plane. The magnitude of q is under root of kx square ky square, and it represents the orthogonal projection of vector k on the xy plane. Similarly, if orthogonal projection of k on xz axis, it will be given by pink plane, which makes an angle of beta with respect to the x-axis in the xz plane. So this beta angle is the same, which is the actual angle between q and k. So now we can define these angles in order to utilize them at later stage. So first of all, let's consider the triangle FBC. So in this triangle FBC, we can clearly see that angle B is equal to 90 degree. Then we can calculate cos of alpha and cos of beta. Cos of alpha is given as kx by q because q is the hypotenuse of this triangle, and similarly you have sin alpha, which is given by ky by q. Next, in triangle DFC, angle C is 90 degree, and cos of beta is basically equal to q divided by k, and the magnitude of k being unity, so it boils down to only q, and sin of beta is equal to kz divided by k. So after calculating all these angles, we need to orient the vector k in such a way, because this k is an arbitrary vector. What we will do is we first orient the vector so that this k matches with any of the standard axes, either x or y or z, and then we'll give the standard rotation theta about that standard axis, and then we'll reposition the vector k back. So this process will be done using 5 steps, which will be shown in the next slide. So the first step is, what we'll do, we'll rotate K about the fixed Z axis by angle alpha. As the K rotates by alpha, its projection Q will merge with X and the vector K will merge with XZ plane like this way. So this is the effect of a rotation of a vector K about fixed Z axis by angle alpha, and this direction is, if we see from the positive Z axis, this direction is clockwise. So all clockwise rotations are taken as negative and all counterclockwise rotations are taken as positive. So next step is, we rotate the new K about the Y axis by beta. So what we'll do, because all the rotations are taken in a sequence about the fixed axis, so all the subsequent rotations we need to pre-multiply, as we have seen in the last session. After rotating the projected vector by beta, that is in the counterclockwise direction, this results in projecting the vector onto the x-axis. So like this. The net effect of our last two steps is that we are able to merge the vector K along x-axis, and now along the x-axis we will take the standard transformation of angle theta in the counterclockwise direction. So step 3 is, we rotate K about x-axis by theta in the counterclockwise direction, that the standard rotation is performed. So in the next two steps we do the transformations in reverse order so that the K vector can be restored back. So first what we'll do, we'll rotate K about the Y axis by minus beta angle, that is clockwise direction. This will place the vector K in the XZ plane, and finally we'll rotate K about the Z axis by alpha in the counterclockwise direction. With this step, vector K will be restored back. So with this set of 5 steps, we have seen that we have obtained the final rotation matrix, which will be the combination of these 5 steps. So after we write these 5 rotation matrices and multiply them, the net effect of multiplication of all these 5 matrices can be written like this, where C theta is equal to cos theta, S theta is equal to sin theta, and V theta is equal to 1 minus cos theta. So for practice, you can write all of these 5 standard rotation matrices. After you multiply these 5 rotation matrices in order, you should be able to find this final rotation matrix. So now let's try to solve the inverse problem. In the inverse problem, let's say this transformation matrix is given to us. We should be able to find kx, ky, kz and theta back. So in order to do that, so first of all we'll calculate the trace. So the trace of a matrix is basically 3 diagonal entries, R11, R22 and R33. So if we see, all 3 will become kx square v theta plus c theta, that is the first entry, plus ky square v theta plus c theta plus kz square v theta plus c theta, so which results in kx square plus ky square plus kz square v theta plus 3c theta. So we know kx square plus ky square plus kz square is equal to 1 because k is a unit vector. So this v theta is equal to 1 minus cos theta plus 3 cos theta, so which results in basically 1 plus 2 cos theta. So we can say that cos theta is equal to trace minus 1 divided by 2. So this is how we can calculate the cosine of the angle, which is equal to cos inverse trace of this matrix R minus 1 divided by 2. Next is, we can calculate the each component. So to calculate kx, so what we should do, let's try to calculate R32 minus R23. So by doing this, you can see R32 is ky kz vz, so both will cancel out. So you have 2 kx sin theta. This results in kx equal to 1 by 2 sin theta R32 minus R23. Similarly, we can calculate ky kz using different terms which are summarized like this way. So this is how we can calculate the vector k from the given rotation matrix. So all three parameters, angle theta, kx, ky and kz, can be easily calculated. So this is called as the inverse problem. Next, let's try to see if there is any pattern in the equivalent angle axis matrix. As we can see that this matrix is having very complex structure, which is obtained by multiplying 5 transformation matrices as discussed in the previous slides. So is there any way we can recall this matrix? So let's try to find out. So all these 9 entries are given in this structure from R11 to R33. So which can be written in the expanded form like this way, where the first column and first row belongs to the x-axis, the second row and second column belongs to the y-axis, and the third row and the third column belongs to the z-axis. So first let's take the first row and first column. So along the first row and first column, let's write kx along the first column and also along the first row, followed by writing ky along the second column as well as the second row. Then let's write kz along the third column as well as along the third row. Then we need to append one term, that is v theta, with each entry. So v theta, and like the way we have v theta attached to all the entries. So next we need to add c theta along the diagonal. So c theta at r11, c theta at r22 and c theta at r33. Next comes the off diagonal terms, where let's take into account this r12 term. So r12 term belongs to this term. So where we can see kx is already being taken into account, ky has already been taken into account. So kz is left, which we have to write here along with the sine theta. So kz sine theta comes here. Next comes the r13 term, which is over here. Kx is already taken into account, kz is already taken into account, so we are left with the ky. So ky sine theta comes at this place. Next comes this r21 entry, where kx and ky are already there, so it comes kz s theta. Then comes r23 term, kx sine theta. Similarly, we have r31 term, where we have ky sine theta, and finally we have r32 term, where ky has already been taken into account, kz has already been taken into account, so we are left with kx sine theta. Next comes the sign in between these two terms. So we need to follow the sign convention, where I and j represents the row and column index. So here you can see this, we can write it as rij, where I represents the row index and j represents the column index. So according to this sign convention, if the column index is more than the row index, that is if j is greater than I, the sign can be taken as -1 raised to power I plus j. So by referring to j greater than I, we are basically addressing these three entries. So first of all, let's take into account the diagonal entries, where I and j index will remain the same. So over there all three signs are plus. So r11, r22, r33. Then comes the three entries lying above the main diagonal, that is r12, r13 and r23. So first let's take into account the r12 entry, where I is equal to 1, j is equal to 2. So -1 raised to power 1 plus 2, that is -1 raised to power 3, becomes minus. So the sign is minus. Then comes the r13 entry over here, where the I index is 1, the j index is 3. So -1 raised to power 1 plus 3, which is equal to -1 raised to power 4 plus sign. So we have the plus sign over here. And then comes the r23 entry, which is over here. The sign is minus. Now as we know that this matrix is skew symmetric in nature. So whatever the signs we have got for the 3 entries lying above the main diagonal, its reverse sign will come for the 3 entries lying below the diagonal. So we have plus, minus, plus. So this is how we have to choose the signs. Let's incorporate these signs in the main matrix. So we have plus for R11, R22 plus, plus at R33. Then we have the 3 entries above the main diagonal. So we have minus, plus, minus, and finally we have the 3 entries below the main diagonal. So we have plus, minus, plus. So this is how we can write the whole matrix in a systematic manner without multiplying the 5 transformation matrices. In the end, let's have one example where let's assume that the vector k is not along the body diagonal but it's along the standard x-axis. So x-axis we can write kx, ky, kz as equal to 1, 0, 0. So we have this final matrix. So here you can see all entries related to ky and kz are 0. So this entry goes to 0, 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 this entry goes to 0. Then you have z, this entry goes to 0, ky, this entry goes to 0. Then you have ky, this entry goes to 0, this entry goes to 0. So ky, this entry goes to 0 and this entry goes to 0. So finally you can see the first term is kx square into 1 minus cos theta. So if we talk about this entry, kx square into 1 minus cos theta plus cos theta, kx square being 1, so this is 1, so cos theta will cancel with cos theta, the entry is equal to 1, here 0, here both the entries are 0, in the first column this entry is 0, this entry is also 0, so in the second row, second column, you have cos theta, second entry is minus sine of theta, R32 entry is kx sine theta, kx being 1, so you have sine theta, and finally R33 entry, you have only cos of theta. This is a standard rotation template which we have discussed earlier for rotation about x-axis. Here we can conclude that this matrix is again a general rotation matrix with which we can obtain the rotation about x, y, z axis or also any arbitrary axis. Then there are some practice problems which you can try. Thank you.